was asked live on British TV whether or not he believed the Holocaust happened, and he refused to answer. They're that kind of political party. So you can imagine how people felt shocked when they began to pick up seats on local councils in Labour-held areas, in areas where the Labour Party had been strong. Suddenly, white working-class Labour voters were beginning to vote in small numbers, just one or two here, little wins in little wards and seats, one or two seats for this racist, fascist party. And then in 2006, they made an unprecedented breakthrough when they won a third of all the seats on a council, 12 seats on a council in East London. Basically, they won every seat that they stood. If they'd have stood a full slate, they may have taken control of the entire council, which would give them a budget of £750 million over 5 years to create havoc in the heart of multicultural Britain, London being the most multicultural city in Europe. Now, this whole situation had an added dimension for me because it was my hometown, the town where I was born, where I grew up, which I still think of as home, where my family still lives. Suddenly my hometown was being called the racist capital of Britain, which, you know, it's no more or less racist than your hometown. It's just we had these fascist arseholes knocking on doors, setting neighbour against neighbour. So people decided, you know, we had to do something about this. At the 2010 election, people came from all over Britain, all over London, across Europe, even people from North America I saw out in Barking and Dagenham, and many young people as well. That was very, very encouraging. People under the age of 25, some even under the age of 20. This was significant because in the latter years of the 20th century, fighting against the far right in the UK was a little bit like being a member of a drinking club for middle-aged Clash fans. Because, you know, and I speak as a paid-up member, I don't wish to disparage, you know, those of us who were politicised by Rock Against Racism will always answer the call. We'll always keep the faith. And the great thing about those kids who came out to campaign and to leaflet, just by simply putting an anti-racist leaflet through a letterbox out in the borough, they were joining that great tradition of Rock Against Racism, of the fight for civil rights in the 60s, of Woody's This Machine Kills Fascists, of the volunteers that went from Canada and elsewhere to the Spanish Civil War. They were joining that great tradition. And when the election came, I'm pleased to say that not only did the British National Party fail to win any more seats on Barking Council, they lost every single seat they had. We threw those bastards out of town. They were gone. In fact, the blow that we struck in Barking and Dagenham may have been so powerful that they may now have been destroyed as an electoral force. That programme that I was just mentioned earlier was called Whatever Happened to the BNP, because they failed to make any impression in the council elections that just happened last week in our country. And but before we celebrate, anybody who knows, anyone who's fought against racism, against fascism, against discrimination will know that whatever victories we may attain, these people never really go away in society, wherever you are. And each generation has to work out how to counter that threat. But I feel confident in my country that the torch has been passed to a new generation, and I'm greatly encouraged by that. But I'm also encouraged by the fact that those white working class voters who voted Labour but put these fascists into the town hall were able to look them and see what they were doing when they were in the town hall and act upon that. People in Barking and Dagenham looked into the face of racist fascism and saw it for what it is, and threw those fuckers straight back out again. So I'm encouraged by that. I think we can trust our neighbours, you know. They may do some things in anger sometimes, but I think we can trust them. So this song is from straight off of the streets of Barking in that campaign. It's a track from the new album. It's called There Will Be a Reckoning.